This is part of my memoir, Maha Unshackled. If you just joined, you might want to start from the beginning. All 17 chapters are now live. One of the biggest obstacles of a U.S. student visa is that while studying, the foreign student is only allowed to work part-time and only on campus, which limited my job hunting pool. The golden ticket came later, optional practical training, or OPT, a one-year permit that allowed students to work full-time anywhere so they could gain professional experience in the U.S. By the time I got my OPT, I was living in my fancy Santa Monica apartment, partying my ass off while my bank account told another story. With only 3 months left on my OPT clock, I was desperate to find something that paid the bills. That's when I landed a job as an office manager at UCLA's counseling center. On my first day, Jorge walked me to the front desk. "This is where your desk is going to be," he said, gesturing towards the reception area. "Right here is where all the action happens." Beth added, "This is the waiting area and you will be the first face everyone sees when they walk in." Nan leaned over with her sharp New York accent, walking me through the phone protocol. When someone calls, if they sound suicidal, first thing, ask for their location, write it down, and ask if they're in a safe place. And Wendy smiled warmly, adding, "Don't worry, you'll learn quickly. We've all got your back." Within weeks, they weren't just co-workers. They became my new family in Los Angeles. Coming from an Arab background, the Arab-Jewish conflict was always present. It filled the news my father watched, shaped school books, and fueled conversations around me. Stories of war, blame, and bloodshed were passed down for generations, each side warning against the other. Growing up, I only ever heard one side, just as they only heard theirs. Right before I left to the United States, a woman from the Arab expat community in Romania pulled me aside. "Be careful in America," she warned me. "There are many Jews there, and they hate Arabs." She went on, "I heard about a Jewish college student who poisoned his Arab roommate, pretended to be his best friend the whole time. Don't ever trust them. They're sneaky like that." I rolled my eyes. Sure. All I could think of was the thrill of spreading my wings. I couldn't wait to go to the land of the free. This was just one of many cautionary tales that I had heard growing up. Up until I moved to Los Angeles, I had never met a Jewish person in my life. It wasn't something I lost sleep over. To be honest, I was indifferent. I was tired of wars, politics, and violence, and was too busy surviving my mother's abuse to search for the truth. By the time I joined the UCLA Staff and Faculty Counseling Center, I had already dated Eddie and met his Jewish friends and family, and those barriers felt insignificant in the United States. It made me wonder, if people could get along here, why couldn't the same be possible in the Middle East? Somehow, the same people from the same background killed each other in one place and cared less in another. At my new job, all the counselors except Beth were Jewish. What stood out for me was not their religion, but how kind they were to me. I was just a foreign student trying to find my way in the American professional world, making mistakes, adjusting to the culture, and still struggling with my professional English in emails and communication. I told them my work permit would expire in a few months, and panic must have shown on my face because Wendy leaned forward, lowering her voice as if she were about to share a secret. "So what happens if it runs out?" she asked. "I'll have to go back to Yemen," I said quietly. And that's my biggest fear in life. She shook her head. No, no, no. We're not going to let that happen. There has to be a way. Before I knew it, the counselors were brainstorming and went above and beyond, determined to help me find a way. I had to move out of my apartment because I simply couldn't afford it anymore after having to stop working. That's when Wendy, one of the counselors, surprised me. Why don't you stay in my spare room? She offered, as casually as if she were lending me a book. I blinked. But you've only known me for 2 months. She shrugged. So what? You need a place. I got a place. Done. Living with Wendy turned out to be a gift. We'd order pad thai and green curry from Natalie Thai next door, pour some wine, and laugh through episodes of Curb Your Enthusiasm. On weekends, she even went apartment hunting with me, which in Los Angeles is basically a sport. One day we walked into a studio that was within my budget. The moment we stepped in, the smell of old mold punched us in the face. The carpet was stained, the walls were peeling, and the one tiny window barely let in a light. I sighed. Maybe I should just take it. I don't want to overstay my welcome at your place. Wendy spun around, gave me a look that could stop traffic, and said, No way, you're not living here. Let's get out of this shithole and grab some Thai food. I laughed, relieved. In the end, I stayed at Wendy's for 2 months until I finally found a place I could afford. Even after I had to stop working at the UCLA Counseling Center because my work permit expired, I stayed close with everyone there. If I got sick, they would check in on me. I still remember Nan's New York accent booming through the phone one day. Hey, Wins, she's in bed with a fever and doesn't have a single thing in her fridge. Let's order some food for her. I felt like having a family in a city where I thought I had none. Dr. Jorge Cherbatsky, the other co-director of the UCLA Counseling Center, was quite a character. A Mexican Jew from Israel that was blonde and looked white, spoke with a Spanish accent, and practiced Judaism. Outside of the center, he ran his own consulting firm, the Emotional Intelligence and Diversity Institute, which offered training and development workshops for organizations. One day, he said, You should meet my partners, Lee and Anita. You'll love them. And he was right. Dr. Lee Garden-Schwartz and Dr. Anita Rowe soon became part of my American family. Together, they hired me, given my background in organizational behavior, and since they wanted to support me, they paid me in cash, and it became a good way to sustain myself. We often worked out at Lee's home because she wanted to make the commute easiest for me. Lee was like the cool aunt, never married, free-spirited, running her own business out of a gorgeous house. One afternoon, I admitted, Lee, you're such an inspiration to me. I don't think I ever want to get that traditional family life. Lee smiled, swirling her coffee. Neither did I, and I was from a time where no one was doing that. Anita brought in a different kind of warmth. With her Croatian roots, she told me stories so I could relate. When I moved out, my mother begged me not to go. What will people say about a young girl living alone? She cried. But me, I couldn't wait to get out. We all laughed, nodding in recognition. Most of our meetings circled around Lee's kitchen island, always stocked with Trader Joe's treasures. Toscano cheese soaked in Syrah, gingerbread cookies, hummus with veggies. Before I left, Lee would wave a cracker at me, take some for later, and Anita would pile snacks into my arms, insisting, take some for home. I'd walk out feeling like I just left my second home. I cherished those gatherings with all my heart. To this day, Lee and Anita remain my greatest cheerleaders. Sometimes I wonder, what my life might have been like if I had grown up with a kind mother like them. My 1-year OPT was about to expire, and I was freaking out. I had no backup plan and no clear next step. Wendy suggested I talk to a recruiter at UCLA. In desperation, the next day I went to the recruiting department, tears filling up my eyes. My work permit is about to expire in a few weeks. I don't know what to do, I said, my voice trembling. The employee looked at me with some sympathy and whispered, "What if you enroll at UCLA Extension, take some classes, and extend your student visa legally? It's not a permanent solution, but it'll buy you some time. A lot of foreign students do this." That advice was my lifeline. That's exactly what I did. But the process took time. In that gap, my work authorization expired, and I had to leave my job at the UCLA Staff and Faculty Center. My heart was broken. As soon as my paperwork finally went through, I began searching for openings on campus because I'm only permitted to work at my school. That's when I landed a part-time admin job in the UCLA Plastic Surgery Department, assisting Dr. Andrew DeLeo, a rising star in the field, who was helping women with breast cancer reconstruction using the latest techniques. And he was gorgeous. Tall, dark-haired, deep-set eyes, full-on Italian movie star vibes. I would swoon every time he walked by. And that was the time where I met Cece, one of the former admins, who walked over to my desk one day just holding a small Pizza Hut box in her hand. "Is that for me?" I asked, smiling. She hesitated, then shrugged. "Sure, if you want it." I grabbed it and devoured it on the spot. Only after did I realize it was probably her lunch. I don't know why I had just assumed it was for me. Probably the hunger. Later, after work, all the admins and assistants went out for happy hour. Cece showed up too. Even though she no longer worked at the plastic surgery department, she still seemed close with everyone. Over margaritas, she leaned back in her chair and said, "We met as kids in Brazil. He was my first everything. We practically grew up together. And let me tell you, I thought having a baby would fix our marriage." She snorted, shaking her head. "Now he brings his fucking dates over to my house, and they sleep in the living room." They were still living together, not officially divorced yet, and still working out the details of separating their assets. Cece says it like it is, always blunt and honest, sometimes too honest. Bold and unfiltered. But that's what I liked about her. That happy hour, we clicked and became friends. Later on, I introduced her to Dan and then Larissa because they were both from Brazil, and the two bonded instantly. As we grew closer, I confessed my secret. "I'm in love with Dr. DeLeo. Imagine if I marry a doctor." Cece nearly choked on her drink. "Are you kidding me? He's gay." "No, he's not," I said, shaking my head. "Yes, he is. He's also married." I stared at her, confused. "You see that guy who comes in every day? The one he goes to lunch with? That's his husband." I blinked. "No, they're just friends, Cece. Don't ruin my fantasy." Cece laughed, and soon everyone was laughing. I sat there, refusing to believe it, stuck in complete denial. This was an excerpt from my upcoming memoir. Stay tuned for more. P.S. My memoir is complete and has been sitting on my laptop for months now. So if you know a publisher or can slip it to Oprah or Reese Witherspoon's book club, I'll owe you free yoga classes for life. Please subscribe for free to receive the next chapter.